It's a hot and sunny afternoon here in South Haven, Michigan for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup from GRIDLIFE Spring Kickoff in 2021. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined alongside a GLTC driver, Justin Kelly. Justin, a new build this weekend, didn't quite go to plan, but got a couple other cars out there we'll be rooting on. But our race 3 of the weekend, race 3 of 4 this afternoon, it is the hottest it's been. The track is going to be greasy, and a 50-car field about to take the green.
It is very warm, and the humidity has not let up at all. So it's gonna be who can keep their tires together is definitely gonna be the name of the game.
Yeah, keeping tires on the car is going to be a real challenge, and we saw Jeremy Swenson in race number 1 have a real challenge with keeping tire temperature out of the Yokohamas, I believe, that he's running on that Corvette. The real challenge also is to beat the guy that's been winning all weekend, Tom O'Gorman. He didn't actually finish first on Saturday morning's first race, but because of some DQs due to some yellow flag infractions, Tomo actually won both race 1 and race 2. Yesterday, he left everyone in the dust, but for race 3, now everyone's back on a level playing field, and I'm really excited to see this. A 15-minute sprint race, single-class racing, cars with all sorts of different builds. And Justin, while we have you here, I think we should talk about one of the more unique builds that we've got in this series, and that's the builds that you guys just built. This is the first round for your J-swapped Honda S2000s. Went to a V6 platform, so a V6 engine in a Honda S2000. That sounds like a lot of fun, but how have they been so far? I know your car had an issue, but Tiffany seems to be running okay.
Yeah, I mean the J-swap has kind of been it's not a new swap for the S2000 platform, so not near as much of a headache as it was to get it put into the FRS. But the car's been doing great. I mean, Tiffany's car's had no issues whatsoever as far as the engine's concerned. Been battling some temp issues a little bit, which might be due to having trouble bleeding the system. But the FRS definitely had some struggles this weekend with some crank trigger sensors and ended up getting a little warm and melting a piston. So sounds major, but we have spares.
So here at Gingerman Raceway, this is a 2.21-mile circuit with 11 corners. And Justin, here's a run down the front straightaway. It all begins at the start-finish line. A little bit of a crest over into turn number 1. You're going to go down a couple of gears, huck it through the left-hander, and then into turn 2. This is sort of a tricky corner, a little bit of kind of a double apex turn here, Justin. Then you're throttling up towards turn 3, one of the tighter corners on the racetrack.
Yeah, turn 3 is very similar to turn 1. Has a little bit of a crest coming in. Car gets a little loose before you head on down to corner 4.
And then it's a kink through turn 4, then a downshift into 5 and up into 6. That's a real challenging complex, easy to drop a tire. That caught Todd Cayley out the other day. Then through 7, 8, and 9, high speed, and a GLTC car, you're probably flat for most of the field. Some drivers might have to do a confidence lift in the bigger, heavier cars, but then this long back straightaway, no lifting here.
No. Coming out of corner 10 is a heavy dig, so it's a long, hard straight.
And there's a little bit of a visibility issue coming up over the crest, which is what caught some drivers out in yesterday's races. Some yellow flag infractions, a couple DQs there. But as we head into our third race of the weekend, we should also note that Tom O'Gorman is carrying 150 pounds of rewards weight. What that means is if you win a race here, you get 75 pounds added to your car for the next race. If you finish second, you get 50. If you finish third, you get 25. The maximum weight you can carry is 150 pounds. So Tom has his car as heavy as it can be this weekend. I'm wondering if that's going to be a big effect on his car. It's been really good this weekend, but 150 extra pounds is a lot of extra weight for an S2000.
Well, exactly right. Putting that amount of weight into a lighter weight car definitely is more significant than some of the heavier weight cars out there. Tom O'Gorman's being on the lighter side, he's definitely going to feel that weight.
As the cars roll off the grid here, there's a handful of cars I think we should also mention. DJ Alessandrini on the right side of your screen in that 2006 Honda Civic Si. That car is running an experimental Goodyear tire. It's available now in limited sizes. The problem with that is that not everybody can run it, so DJ is kind of testing them out and seeing how they are. They haven't really shown to be a massive advantage, but you were telling me before the broadcast here, Justin, that maybe it would be more advantageous on a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah, and speaking to DJ yesterday, he had also told me he really likes the feel of a stiff sidewall, shorter tire. And, coming from our rear-wheel drive cars, we like having a big, heavy, or a big, soft sidewall that can kind of act as a shock. So, maybe a little bit more advantageous to go onto a rear-wheel drive car than a front-wheel drive car, but it sounds like they're definitely very picky about chassis setup and they want to be dialed in for that particular car.
And GLTC is not a spec tire category, so you can run Hoosier R7s, you can run Yokohama street tires. A very popular street tire choice is the Falcon RT660, which Tom O'Gorman has run on in the past. He switched to the Hoosier, but the Falcon RT660 is a real great option to kind of use. Obviously, slick tires are very expensive, so to run
boy are they
tire,
ever.
Yeah, an RT660 is a great tire for this category and the Club TR Time Attack class, where that is a spec tire category. So some interesting tire choices here throughout the field. There's Brian Heitkotter in the Chris Forsberg Racing number 05. That car had an issue yesterday, not in mechanical issues, but in strategy. The way GLTC's format is, Justin, race 1, your best lap sets the grid for race 2, and in race 2, your finishing order sets race 3. Well, they thought it was best lap for both race 1 and race 2, so Brian dropped back and charged to try to get a great lap, but it didn't do him any good. You got to finish well.
And boy, would that have been an excellent strategy. Coming into a car or a field of 50-plus cars, you know, trying to move from 54th up into the points is really an uphill battle. So trying to have a strategy where you're going to set that fast lap to put yourself up front is a great idea. Just not the right race order, unfortunately.
And speaking of points, Luke McGrew came into the weekend leading the season-long points, but Aaron Lichty and Eric Cattell, who were the second and first place finishers from the points last year, they have not had the pace that I would expect to have now. While they both made it up into the top 5 for race number 2, we haven't seen either of them win a race since all the way back at Circuit of the Americas in February. So it's been a little while since either of them have been to victory lane. We'll see if they can get back to the winner's circle before the end of the weekend. We're going to have one more pace lap here, Justin, before we turn them loose. But Ryan Upham in this BMW M3, this is an example of one of the heavier, more powerful cars. And we saw on the straightaways yesterday, that car was an absolute bullet.
Yeah, I mean, even last year racing against him, I mean, that car does such a great job on the straightaway. You know, big advantages here at certain tracks to have, you know, a little bit more weight and be able to carry more power. You know, it might hurt you in some of the tighter sections, but man, that dig out of corner 10B really helps having a heavy car with some more low-end torque.
Certainly does. There's your starting lineup on the left-hand side of the screen. Tom O'Gorman and Ryan Upham sharing the front row. Emil Tabb and Eric Cattell on row number 2. Aaron Lichty, the runner-up from the championship last year, starts on the inside of row 4. Eric Jensen in an LS-swapped FRS, a little bit of a different take on a swap into that chassis, starts alongside him. Then Luke McGrew, points leader coming into the weekend. Lewis Chatrup, DJ Alessandrini, Andy Smedgard before Boysen, Meadows, Swenson, Bowling, Ronnie Solomon, Scott Robertson, Lovoy, and Horisco round out the rest of the top 20. We should also mention that Ben Horisco, who has a shop, Ultima Raceworks, up in Illinois, his girlfriend, Taylor Gajewski, she's running in a Spec Miata towards the back of the field, only her second time running in GLTC. What an event to run your second ever GLTC
Yeah,
event.
I mean, talk about pressure. You come in, you know, come into an event that's already known to have this level of competition, and you come in with a 54-car field. I mean, props to her for, you know, for getting out there and having a good time. It takes a lot to come here and have the confidence to jump out there and do what these guys are doing.
Absolutely. We've got a 17-year-old in the field as well, Matan. He's been a prodigy from what I've heard from his instructors. Ran in some DE stuff last year, then moved into GLTC at Blackhawk Farms, also his second event. He had an issue yesterday, a battery electrical related issue. That car should be repaired and out on the racetrack here for our third race of the weekend. So the field now getting ready to double up and take the green flag. 15 minutes is going to be our race length. And then for race 4, a little bit of a difference here. We're going to grid by our finishing position with the exception of the front handful. We're going to throw a random invert in there, which we should know by the end of the race, and then we're going to kind of flip things around and see how that goes.
Always one of the more exciting setups, the invert. So it'll be interesting to see what cars end up being affected by that. Man, out here with the greasy temps, it's really anybody's game. I mean, it comes down to tire management, I think, more than anything.
It certainly is going to be a challenge. 15 minutes is not a super long race, but in temperatures like this and to the level that you're driving in GLTC, it's certainly enough to overheat tires.
Absolutely.
If you're not careful.
Absolutely, especially for those guys that are on street tires. I know, talking to Swenson last night, he said he gets 1 or 2 hot laps, and it really goes into conserve mode after that. So, you know, hopefully let's see what he can do. He can keep those things cooled off and keep the pace.
And as we roll down towards turn number 11, I should apologize in advance for my voice. I think it's been allergies this weekend that's been throwing me off. So if I sound like I just rolled out of bed, I didn't, I promise. It's just a little under the weather this weekend. So doing my best. As we roll out of turn number 11, GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 3 from Gingerman Raceway at Spring Kickoff in 2021. Tom O'Gorman, Ryan Upham sharing that front row. Green flag flies. We're racing at Gingerman Raceway.
Man, what a field.
Double file, 3 wide, heading off into turn number 1. O'Gorman clears Upham. Emil Tabb tried to sneak down the inside, couldn't find an opening. The hybrid racing EG of Eric Cattell slots into 3rd. Still double wide behind him, clean through turn 1. All 3 races this weekend, they've done that successfully. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, watching this from an outside perspective, getting through that turn 1 with this many cars is crazy. Crazy to see.
Look at Ryan Upham right behind Tom O'Gorman. Now, Tomo's strength is going to be in the corners, but with that rewards weight, that's really going to slow him down. Upham's strength is on the straightaway, so that could be a real challenge for O'Gorman to hang on. Car off the racetrack, that's DJ Alessandrini. Got off over the curbing at the exit of turn 3. He's back on. We continue green. There is Eric Cattell in the Hybrid Racing EG right behind Emil Tab in the winning Formula Miata. That's a battle for 3rd place. Behind them, double file for about 5th spot, or make that 6th spot rather, as we head into turn 7, carrying lots of speed through here, Justin, and it's real tough to stay side by side.
No, it really is, and I know Eric Cattell's coming into this event with some new shocks in the car that I, knowing from experience, takes some time to get dialed in. So that might be a little bit what's going on with his pace, but doing really well considering, you know, the changes that he's made. He's like us and always has to make changes. I mean, that's the name of the game.
It certainly is, and Fortunato coilovers on that car for Eric Cattell, working on, I think they're the 520 setup there. And give Fortunato a follow as well. They had their Instagram account go down, and they're trying to work their followers back up. So Fortunato and our buddies, make sure you go give them a follow on Instagram. Now down the back straightaway here into turn 11. Surprised that O'Gorman's been able to hang on for this long. I thought Upham would motor by him on the straight, but he hasn't.
He must have got a pretty good dig out of 10. I know Tomo knows how to hit those apexes, so, I mean, that really gives you a good drive going down that back straightaway into 11.
We're 3 wide into turn 11, a little bit farther back. Here's some Chaos Lewis Chatroop, Andy Smedgard in there. Andy won 2 races back at NCM a couple months ago. There's Luke McGrew, followed by Chatroop, Smedgard, and Alessandrini climbing back upward after that off in turn 3.
Nice, tight racing. Everybody keeping it clean. It's, you know, the type of racing we want to see around here. These guys are really showing the place to be, and this is, man, great driving. Great groups. Nice tight pack, no incidents. Everyone's staying on track so far. A lot to say for how greasy it is out there, I can only imagine.
It's amazing. There's Jeremy Swenson, the unofficial race 1 winner, obviously got disqualified, but he's fast, and he's working by, or trying to work by, DJ Alessandrini. Now, DJ has 1 win under his belt at Mid-Ohio last season. Then the rest of the weekend was in the rain. He didn't have rain tires, so didn't finish very well from there on out. Had a transmission failure at Road America, and this is his first weekend back since then. Upham now falling into the clutches of Emil Tab. That's a bit of a surprise as O'Gorman continues to pull away.
Man, Emil's just been on fire. He is the consistent, always in the front, always keeps his stuff perfect. That car rarely, if ever, has mechanicals, so that's somebody you always got to be watching for.
It's one of the more reliable cars, and in the points, it's paid dividends. He's just so consistent, as you mentioned, and if he's not on the podium, he's pretty close to it.
Yeah,
3rd
absolutely.
or 4th in almost every round he's ever been
Definitely,
in.
yeah. He's always making sure his stuff is perfect, and it shows.
We saw Jeremy Swenson going down the inside of DJ Alessandrini in turn 10B, so we'll see on the back straightaway if Swenson can motor on by. As you see the field panning through, there's Andy Smedgard closing up the Chatroop, and yes, Swenson did get by Alessandrini. Curious to see if he's moved over to a Hoosier tire, knowing that the street tires would just overheat in a lap and a half, or if he's going to stay on the streets.
From what I've heard, he's staying on the streets, and so far he's proven that, you know, he can make up for that early pace to compensate for when the tires get hot and go into defensive mode. That torque of that V8 LS motor that he's running really does help get that drive out of the corner and make up for some of the slower cornering speeds later when those tires get slick.
So out up front, O'Gorman is falling back a little bit towards Ryan Upham. He's closing in once again. Emil Tab is right there, so is Eric Cattell. Keeping an eye on for some of the drivers we thought would be big movers. Brian Heitcotter's up 10 spots from 31st to 21st. And Ishram Rakhani making one of his first starts on the weekend. He's moved up 2 spots into 25th. And looking for Tiffany Kelly, who started at the rear of this field. She's also moved up a handful of spots. She's moved up 6 from 45th into 39th. So good climb so far as Tab all over the back of the 13.
Yeah, I imagine by this point, Tomo's got to be feeling that weight. With the temps out there, every bit of extra weight on those tires is not helpful.
It certainly is not, and it's only going to get worse as the race goes on. So we'll see if he can hang on to it. So far, so good, though, as we watch some good mid-pack battles here. Believe that is...
Looks like Tiffany out there.
It is Tiffany, yes. Yeah. She's got Joel Morrison right behind her in the 9 Lives Racing S2000. And good battles there. 2 very different builds, 2 very different ideas of how to go fast.
So many S2000s out here this weekend. I mean, man, they are a little bit of everything. We got stroked F-Series S2000s, K-Series, J-Series, you name it, it's out here.
And here's some onboard action here. This is from onboard Eric Cattell's Hybrid Racing EG.
No, this is
This is Tom O'Gorman.
Yep.
That's correct. My apologies there. I saw the auto assets on the dash, and I knew there was something up with that. But across the line, he's got nothing but clear windshield out the road.
Tomo really showing it. I mean, good for him being able to get a little bit of a lead, knowing that later that rewards weight's going to come back to bite him in temps. So, he just needs to keep pushing, get himself as big of a gap as he can. Eric Catil really moving up, putting pressure on Emil. He's going to be someone I think that's going to be a contender later in this race or going into the invert for race 4.
Here we go. Now Catil pulls alongside Emil Tab on the run down to turn number 3. Can he pull that K-swapped Civic alongside the K-swapped Miata? Not quite. Within a foot of the bumper down through turn number 3. No dice though. Look who's coming. Aaron Lichty, the runner-up from the championship last year. The winningest driver in GLTC is lurking in 5th. Never count him out.
No, these guys have battled more than once. This is a pretty formidable group that typically rides close like this. So it'll be interesting to see who's able to come out on top.
And while all this is happening, they're stuck behind the cork in the bottle right now of Ryan Upham. Tomo's driving away. This is great for him.
Yeah.
He looks in the mirror. He's loving this.
It really looks like Upham's having issues with the temps. I mean, like I said, having a heavier car like the BMW, and especially early in the race, driving the car hard really puts temp in those tires, and man, does it come back to bite you later.
Yeah, the problem is it's going to be really hard to pass him when he's so fast on the straightaways, and this is a frustrating moment for the drivers in behind. Upham's doing nothing wrong. He's racing his line,
sure,
not going defensive, but
yeah,
it is going to be frustrating for the drivers behind to not get by. Big dive up the inside. I think that's Louis Chatroop. I believe it's a silver car. I think that's Luke McGrew back there as well. As we look again down the back straightaway, Emil Tab now moving over to driver's right, showing a little bit of a defensive line to Eric Catil, pulls back over to the left to get some slipstream. How effective is that here at Gingerman? Straightaway's not super long, but is it worth having?
I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. I would say it doesn't play a part like it would at Road America or some of the tracks with longer straightaways, but man, when you got cars out there that are this even, it really makes a big difference just to have that few extra reductions in drag going on the straightaway. You just got to watch your temps. On days like today, you really don't want to get your nose buried behind somebody in 100-degree temps and have an engine issue. So something else to keep in mind.
Great battle back here for 6th place. That was Eric Jensen defending from Andy Smedgaard. Very, very well. Took the outside line through turn 11, then kept the inside through turn number 1. But for 2nd place, it's tightening up. 4-car battle for 2nd, and behind him for 6th, it's also going to tighten up. 3 cars behind Eric Jensen, or make that 2. Jensen, McGrew, and then Andy Smedgaard. So McGrew actually got by Smedgaard because Smedgaard got held up by Jensen. So a bit of an accordion effect here, but Smedgaard's not going to wait in the
No, we're going to have some good racing here. Towards the end of the race, all these guys are going to be slipping and sliding all over. We're going to see some good racing. Looks like Emil maybe dropping a tire. Tomo just driving away with it.
Yeah, Emil, again, dropping that tire. There's a lot of curbing at the exit of turn number 6, and there's a lot of holes around the curbing around here. If you drop a tire, you can bend and break stuff pretty easily. So.
Absolutely, and you really, it always catches you off guard just how slick it is on the outside. With these temps, the line you would typically run here doesn't always work.
So keep in mind that, again, we're going to get an invert for race number 4. So the challenge becomes, Tomo's leading this race right now. If he goes on to win, he's going to get buried in the field. So think about the points on the weekend. Tomo's might essentially lock him up with 3 wins, and as well as the other front runners having some penalties earlier in the weekend.
Yeah,
but he's going to have some work to do in race 4.
I don't think anybody can. I mean, if he locks this race in first place, I think he's locked in the weekend. I mean, I don't want to jinx him or anything, knock on wood, but I mean, Tomo doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
No.
It's not his first time in a car, and seeing him out front, I don't expect him to slide off the track or have any major issues. So.
And Tom comes from a professional racing background. He's raced in IMSA and won there, and has won championships in Pirelli World Challenge. Back behind Smedgaard and Jensen side by side at the exit of turn number 1, still battling door to door as they head into turn 2. As they work through turn 2, Smedgaard on the outside of Jensen. And slots back in line. Great battle for 6, and now it's a 4-car fight. That's Jeremy Swenson joining the party.
Yeah, that group's been battling the entire time. They really are really even battles with.
Whoa! Bit of a contact there. Smedgaard gets into the back of Eric Jensen. McGrew's going to
3 wide.
3 wide for position for 6th place. That was an amazing move, but Jensen hangs on. Smedgaard going to have to go the long way around, but McGrew's there now, side by side through 5 and 6. What a battle here.
Swenson just looking for an opportunity, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. He's doing a great job being patient. No reason to get your nose in there on a 3-car fight when you can just wait.
Yeah, Swenson watching this, smelling blood in the water, that's for sure. Through turn 7, 8, and 9 now.
Looks like Upham is benefiting from the battle going on behind him with Emil and Catil, and man, he needs to take advantage of all of it because those two cars are going to probably not fall off quite as much as his car with the weight.
Yeah, again, you see Emil Tabb falling into the clutches of Eric Catil. I've heard Eric's car, even though it's front-wheel drive, the differential he's got in the way it's tuned, it actually turns better on throttle, which is not a typical front-wheel drive characteristic. So in the corners, Catil's car is actually set up pretty well, even though Emil's car is probably set up better in that regard with the rear-wheel drive platform.
Well, and things to keep in mind, I mean, Catil's got so many laps in the same car. I mean, he knows that car better than anybody, and he can really, it really shows. That guy is so consistent, so consistent.
And Eric Catil now going a bit defensive to keep Aaron Lichty behind. These are the two that over the course of the season are still, I think, the favorites to win the championship. Look at Swenson down the inside of Jensen through turn number 1. And a little bit later on the brakes, perhaps that big heavy Corvette should be getting by in turn 2 or 3, depending on how you cross this over. I'm surprised we haven't seen more leaders start on driver's right because turn 2 is a right-hander. You might want to do that now and then.
You know, it's tough to say. The problem is being driver's left going in turn 1 here, you can really get a good cut over the rumble strip, and I think you benefit more still by being on the left and getting that jump. You can clear somebody before turn 2.
So out front, it's still O'Gorman, but Upham was a little bit faster, about a 10th quicker last time by. Looking down the field, I think we're going to pop our heads in and see where some of the other drivers are. We'll check in on some of our big movers as we go back to the battle between, I think that's Luke McGrew and Andy Smedgard, reigniting their battle after they had the run-in with Eric Jensen a couple laps ago. But they've sorted that out. Jensen's dropped back a couple spots. Got a little roughed up, but I think he'll continue and move on.
Most of those guys, I mean, they all are veterans out here, and, you know, they're not trying to have any contact. When you're pushing that hard, you know, it happens.
And I think that's the Blue S2000. Was that Andy Smedgard that dropped off the racetrack?
That looked like that was either Felipe or Jake.
Gotcha.
Coming down, who do we have? Looks like we have a car slow on the left-hand side here. Who?
Oh, that is Taylor Kajewski. That car has all of 89 horsepower, so she's doing the best she can.
Okay, well, that maybe not having an issue, just giving her all she has.
So checking back in on some of our big movers, it looks like Brian Heitkotter has gone up 17 positions into 14th place. Now let's be real. This is real interesting because with the invert, we could go back as far as 15 to 20. So
right. We have no idea who could end up on the front. It could be anybody's game at this point. You just want to work your hardest to get yourself up in that top 20, top 15. That's going to benefit you the most.
Certainly is. And also checking in on some other drivers. Tiffany Kelly up 15 spots back in 30th place, continuing to climb up. Great run for her so far. Gary Wimble up 5. Max Toyer up 5 in the number 160. Good runs there. Joel Morrison up 22 spots from 44th to 22nd. So lots of drivers taking advantage of the very clean and competitive racing out there right now. We should be expecting a white flag anytime here, Justin. So
yeah. 12 minutes in, we got the battles have not stopped. I'm surprised that Swenson has not been able to find a hole between these two, but I mean, Luke and Smedgard have been door to door since lap 1. So, man, they are just cannot find a way by. The cars seem so even.
And Luke McGrew.
We got somebody way off in the grass over here.
Oh wow, trying to see what car it is.
That's one of the front group there. Unless that was a lap down
it's a
car.
Lap car. It might be Will Leahy.
Man, hopefully he comes.
Civic?
Hopefully he watches coming back on track. We've got cars coming by.
There will be a local yellow in that area until he's back on course. That was a topic of discussion earlier in the weekend, but so far so good. 4-way battle for second again. Oh, Tabb way out in the dirty stuff. Got the marbles. That's going to open up the door for the hybrid racing EG of Eric Catil. Drag race down the backstretch, and here comes Aaron Lichty into the party for second place. Or make that third place rather.
Yeah, you can definitely see Aaron coming out of turn 10 there. His tires are definitely struggling. I mean, knowing his line, he did not mean to go that wide, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. With these temps out here, you know, you're driving the car the way it wants to be driven. It's not typically driving the way that you want it to drive, but you don't have much of a choice. It's similar to race 4 last year here at Midwest Fest when we all ran on the wrong tire. We all went on rain tires, ended up drying up, and just drove around the track. It's like a slick track out there.
Yep, white flag is out. Final lap around here at Gingerman Raceway for race number 3. I saw Jensen side by side again through turn number 1. He's had lots of action. Back to third place though. Tabb and Catil still battling for position. Aaron Lichty right there behind. This could be a volatile position with Emil Tabb all over the place. And look at Smedgard defending from Jeremy Swenson.
Luke and Smedgard still side by side. And I know out of that 4 group towards the front, Aaron is the only car out of that group that does not have ABS brakes.
Yes.
So that is not going to help him going into turn 11 on the final lap to try to go for that lunge. He's going to be, knowing Aaron, he's going to be extra careful anyway. Aaron doesn't want to put anybody in a compromising position, but the no ABS on this slick track is not going to help.
Jeremy Swenson now pulling even with Luke McGrew. Look at that V8 pulling on the Duratec swapped, basically a Ford Fusion motor in Luke McGrew's Miata. Big slide though for Swenson. Can McGrew pull alongside? Not quite. He'll have to tuck in behind as they head through turn number 7 and 8.
Man, these guys have been switching positions from the beginning. The question is, I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch Smedgard at this point. He's pretty much pulled away. Here's Tomo just gone.
For Tom O'Gorman, back at NCM a couple months ago, he broke a winless streak in GLTC, and now he will come out of turn number 11. This will be his 4th win in a row, the 3rd this weekend. Tom O'Gorman claims it, 3 for 3 at Gingerman Spring Kickoff. Behind him, Upham 2nd, Emil Tab and Eric Catil. They were racing to the line. They will finish as they were, 3rd, 4th, Lichty 5th. Great battles there, Justin, but Tom O'Gorman again, professional driver from a professional background, but in a professional racing setting, you have a team working on your car. In GLTC, you work on your car. And Tomo and ASM have built this thing to a winning competitive spec, and he's proven to be pretty unstoppable right now.
Yeah, he really did a great job driving around with that rewards weight and being able to manage the tires. It shows, you get someone in the car like Tomo who has that much experience. 150 pounds is weight, but not going to stop him from winning out here today.
Certainly is not. Also, take note of Brian Heikotter making it onto that list. That is phenomenal. Up 18 spots into 13th place. And that is prime for an invert. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I've not heard what the invert is just yet, but hopefully we'll stay on air here for a minute and get that information for you as the rest of the field comes across the line. There's Tiffany Kelly coming across, and she made up, as long as my timing is correct, about 15 spots up into 30th place. Good climb. And it's a busy racetrack out there. It's hard to make passes, Justin, but a lot of people making some big moves out there.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to move up in a field like that, especially when you want to try to keep it clean. And once again, another race, man, 54-3. I don't know how many cars we had out there, but clean racing. It is so nice to see, no wrecked cars out there, minimal people off track, just all around great driving.
I think this is one of the better races we've seen this weekend. Super competitive. The only contact I saw was a little nudge between Andy Smedgard and Eric Jensen, and those guys are super competitive racers, and I think they're going to shake hands after that. And that's the wonderful thing about GLTC, Justin, is you can do that after a race like this. While contact is never expected or wanted, but you can have a very solid race.
And when you get guys that are this close together, sometimes it happens. And, knowing both those drivers, like you said, they're going to shake hands. Both cars weren't damaged. They were able to finish the race. Looks like we have Jake or Felipe.
That is the, trying to see if that's the 32. That is the 12 car.
That is tough to read. Hopefully able to get that car refired off on the grass.
So that is the 12 car, which on the timing and scoring.
That is Felipe.
That's Felipe. All right, so Gonzalez.
I don't think I see any damage on the car. Oh, it looks like the front bumper might be off on the right-hand side. I wonder if he had some kind of contact with somebody or if he just looped it.
Yeah, so hopefully it's repairable for race number 4, which is in a couple of hours. I have received information on what the invert will be for race number 4. The number is going to be 9. Now, that is going to set our grid order, and if I think my my race hero has changed around here, so let me pull up the results again. The driver that finished 9th was Eric Jensen. So Eric Jensen will be your pole sitter for race 4 alongside Luke McGrew. Row 2 is going to be Andy Smedgard and Jeremy Swenson. Row 3, Aaron Lichty and Eric Catil. Row 4, Emil Tab and Ryan Upham. And Tom O'Gorman is going to start back in 10th spot, I believe. So that's going to be the shakeup we have for the 4th and final race of the weekend. But Justin, thanks for joining me here. Fantastic race, and thanks for being here and helping me out with my voice the way it is. But
hey,
super enjoyable.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. This has been a great time. It's odd that I get to watch this from the outside. Super cool race to watch, and glad to be here.
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us here in the FCP Euro Race HQ, and we'll roll the partners that help this all make this possible at the end. We appreciate you joining us. We've got more action coming up. We've got Time Attack, Drift, and then our final GLTC race of the weekend. Thanks so much for watching. We'll join you later today for race 4.